Good evening, everybody. We're online. Welcome everybody to Audit. All members, and we've got quite an array of officers here tonight too as well. Welcome. I understand that Robin's going to be late. Somebody's at the bridge on the A5 again, so the traffic's all bunged up, and we're waiting for him. So we'll get Robin when he arrives. In that case, we'll start. Oh, and we've got Chris Brown. Evening, Chris. Good to see you.
You too, thanks, Chair.
Right. Rebecca, have we got any apologies and substitutions, please?
Yes, we've got apologies from Councillor Pendlebury, Councillor Claire Allen, Councillor Miriam Surtees, and the substitution of Councillor Richard Allen.
Thank you for that. Item 2, minutes of previous meeting, pages 1 to 4. Can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Thank you. I take it we accept them. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Additional urgent business by reason of special circumstance. There isn't any. However, I would like to bring to members' attention about the action plan, the report for council, which we were going to do at this meeting. It was intended, but what I've decided to do is put that off until January, because we're doing the fraud strategy, which is ongoing with Grant Thornton currently. And I thought, rather than sort of have odd meetings here, there and everywhere, as soon as I get wind that we've got that, we can put it all together and do it in one fell swoop in January, because we're not meeting again until February. So I'd like to get that completed if at all possible. So that's the game plan. So I'll ask Rebecca, I'll go through 1 or 2 dates during January and ping them off to you so that we can agree when we can have that get together and discuss those points. But certainly the action plan, if you've already had a look at it, that's really good to hear. But we're looking at that and looking to review it and possibly add to it or look at how we're progressing with it. But I'd very much like to do that. Scott, you wanted to? Yeah?
Just on a related note, the training that went ahead, obviously I wasn't available to make it because it's during the daytime and the recording didn't work. Do we have a date when that's going to be repeated, or because obviously a number of us couldn't attend that?
Ashley did say that we could resurrect that and do that for those members who missed it. You're looking at me, Julie. Are you?
No, that's fine. Just because I'll take that away, Chair, and Ashley's on leave this week. I'll get him to make contact with the committee members that weren't able to make the training and organise something for you.
Even if it's just some slides or recording or something, just something so that we can watch it back. Doesn't need to be all available in the room, but if it's some like a quick slideshow that explains some of the highlights, that would be great as well.
In actual fact, Scott, I think Richard, did Claire express an interest to go through it again? I think that, you know, there's 1 or 2 others who would like to go through it again, so we'll set that up. But as Julie says, Ashley's on holiday this week, but we'll get that set up. Is there any comments on that? I mean, that's what I would like to see, and we'll do that in January if everybody's happy with that. Okay. Right. Item 4, declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest? No. Lovely. Okay. Do we need to approve that? Second it?
Declarations of interest? No.
No, I didn't think so. Thanks, Rebecca. Item 5, questions. I haven't got any questions. Nothing?
No questions, Chair.
Okay. Right. So in that case, we'll go straight on to item 6, which is the HRA land inclusion on the asset register. I have a few words to say on that myself, but I understand that Julie's going to lead us through it.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'll take this report. So this is a proactive report advising members of an area of work that our external audit colleagues at Audit have picked up. So during some testing work that they've been doing recently, they've come across a sample of HRA assets that were not held on the financial asset register at the time of the disposal. Obviously, from their point of view, this gives them some concern about the completeness of information that we hold for the financial statement, and would be raising it with yourself. So we've taken a proactive approach to bring this paper to members this evening. I think what's important to note, and I'd like to reassure members, is that we've already commenced work on this as soon as it was raised by the auditors to try and understand exactly what's happened in this instance. But I would like to reassure you that we can confirm that these assets were held in asset registers within the organisation, albeit not within the information held by finance. So as an example, they're held within the housing service. They're also held within the estate service, and importantly, they're in our GIS system where all of our assets are actually mapped. We have verified that the sites that they picked up during testing and the sites that are included within the report this evening, they are all within those systems. So it is not that we aren't aware of the assets that we hold as an organisation. What we are doing now is going through a reconciliation process going back to 2023, 2019-20, and then to 22-23, just to ratify that the information that we hold is complete, and we'll be able to demonstrate that to the auditors. There is also a process in place whereby all relevant services are advised of any acquisitions, disposals. So whilst that process is already in place, clearly we need to reinforce that, and what we're going to do is put some additional governance around that and have an overall gatekeeper for this information moving forwards to ensure that the issue will not arise again. So just wanted to reassure you that we are already working on it at speed, and we can bring an update to a future meeting as well. Chair, happy to take any questions.
Okay, thanks, Julie. On that basis, any pieces of land that you may have in mind, please feel free to let the officers know about that, because that would be very helpful. They probably already know about it, but it's always helpful. Too much knowledge is rather than too little, I think, in this particular case. But I've been through the whole of this report, and I know that Maddie's doing this land strategy work as well, so I think it's well covered. Brian.
In Newbold, there's a garage there we were thinking of disposing of years ago. Whether it has, I don't think it has been. And then we don't know what's on the register. We don't know what's not on the register. Are you with me? And in Sheepy, there's a set of garages there, pretty derelict. I'm sure that not one of them is used for a car. I think there's 10 in a row, and they're a wasted asset in a way. And I presume it stays in the HRA budget, does it? When you dispose of any?
It would do, yes, but we are satisfied from the work that we've already done that all of our garage sites and plots are within the system that we hold. As I say, we are doing that reconciliation piece of work so that we'll be able to reassure our auditors of the completeness of the information, and obviously yourselves as the audit committee, and we'll be bringing that back to a future meeting.
Chris.
Thank you, Chairman. Are all of our land assets registered with the land registry?
The simple answer is yes, but as I'm sure you'll appreciate, there are a lot of complexities over land ownership and what is registered through the land registry, and certainly what we're picking up through the work we're doing with the Community Governance Review and Hinckley Town Council, where we're also doing an asset mapping exercise, is that there are some quirks around some of the various titles with the land registry, and we're working through that process at the same time.
Thank you, Chair. It's reassuring to hear that. And I remember the quirks well from a previous life. When do you expect the reconciliation to be completed by?
Hopefully, certainly within the next 3 weeks, but we're targeting mid-January as a date that we need to provide the information to the auditors by. But I'm sure Chris may have something to say on that when he gets to his item as well.
Indeed. Right. Are members happy to accept the report? Can I have a proposal and a seconder, please? Thank you very much. That then leads us on to the external audit report, which I presume you're going to go through with us, Chris.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Yep. The first paper in the pack is just an addition to our audit plan. So it's just us
Okay.
highlighting the issue that we've just discussed around the completeness of HRA land as an additional audit risk in our audit. Yeah, we're working very closely and effectively with the finance team to address that. So I don't see it causing a major problem, but it is additional work. The main report that you've got in the pack is our auditor's annual report. Now, it does seem a little bit strange for us to be presenting our annual report before we've finished our audit, because we won't actually be signing off on the audit until the end of February. The reason we're giving you this just now, and it's probably the first time this has happened, is because the National Audit Office Code of Audit Practice is now specifying that all auditors should submit their annual report by the 30th of November, irrespective of the progress of the audit. And the reason for that is that you did go quite a number of years without getting any communication from your auditors. So this is intended to force auditors to report at least once a year on progress in addressing the backlog and progress with the audits. So that's why it's coming before the end of the audit. So the report really covers two main areas, which really.
Chris, can I just stop you there a moment?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. Are we talking both items 7 and 8 here? Because we've got the external audit, additional audit risk at pages 9 to 10.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got the auditor's annual report, which is pages 11 to 34. Are you linking the two together?
So I just linked the two together. Yeah, I did.
Okay,
I did, yeah.
that's fine. As long as we're happy with everybody understands that, that's fine.
Yes, sorry.
Please
Chair.
please continue.
I've just jumped from the HRA point straight into our annual report. If that's okay. So yeah, the annual report covers the audit of financial statements, of which the completeness of HRA land is now an additional significant risk. We'll be, as I said, concluding on that by the end of February, and our audit completion report on the audit of financial statements will come to you before the end of February. The main area of this report is the value for money commentary. So that's the other key area of responsibility. There's a few other things in there that we mentioned, statutory powers like public interest reporting, statutory recommendations. We're not raising any of those, so we're not using any of those additional statutory powers. We're just covering off the financial statements audit and the value for money audit. And under value for money, the main bulk of this report is the commentary on value for money. So it's the commentary on the three main areas that we're required to cover: financial sustainability, covering, that's really the key challenges facing, or some of the biggest challenges facing the council and all of local government and the whole of the public sector. And I've not actually had a chance to catch up on the budget today to see how that's likely to change over the next few years, but I don't imagine it's going to change radically in terms of funding. So financial sustainability is a huge area of risk. Also governance and improving economy efficiency and effectiveness. They are the three areas that we cover off in the value for money commentary. We're not identifying, or we haven't identified, any significant weaknesses in arrangements at the council in any of those areas. So there are no key recommendations in the report, but there are a couple of what we call other recommendations, which really address some of those risks that I just mentioned, primarily around the need to develop savings plans to address the financial sustainability pressures and risks in the council, which, as I say, is nothing specific to Hinckley and Bosworth. That's That's affecting all public sector bodies across the country pretty much. I'll not really say much more about the report. This is an external facing report, so there's probably not much in it that you're not already aware of, but the purpose of it is to go on your website along with the statement of accounts once those are signed off, and it's for the benefit of external stakeholders more than the benefit perhaps of internal stakeholders. But I'm more than happy to answer any questions if anyone has any just now.
Lovely. Thanks ever so much, Chris. Members, have you got any questions? You got off with that lightly, Chris. It's my turn. Thank you very much for the report. I went through it and there are one or two items I like to comment on. Page 21 is the local government reorganisation. I do not wish to sort of enter into any sort of debate over that because it's what is being proposed. However, in the past, when I worked in industry, we had very similar occasions where some bright individual decided that bringing together 3 organisations into one would bring about huge reductions in costs. And I have to say that in my experience, it caused uncertainty amongst staff, caused a lot of redundancies, and we lost expertise. I see very similar parallels. I also see it from a human perspective as well, where we're all human beings. We're all liable to the same kind of fears, and this does not help. And I would wish that somebody would refer back to our friends down south about the past, because my experience of this kind of work is not good. But anyway, that's my perspective on that. I'd like to refer to page 25 and the action plan. And I will say to you, as auditors, we are committed to that action plan. But what we have to do is we have to understand that whilst we make that commitment, we are asking our officers to perform under difficult circumstances. Now, I know that in an audit terminology, we are here to audit and that is it. However, I look at it from a personal point of view that we have got very long-standing members of our officer corps, so to speak, that have been with us for many years. I feel for them, but our commitment remains. I was going to go on about the MHCLG advising us as well, and the report we got back on that. I won't say too much on that because I was very, very annoyed. I think is probably the easiest way of putting it. But that concludes my view on all of that. But Chris, thank you very much indeed for the report. Very much appreciated. Members, can I ask if you've got any further questions for either Chris or myself for that matter? Paul, by all means.
Yeah, I just wanted to check with you, Chair, your page reference, because I was got a bit confused. I think you said page 25.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's the page you meant. Would it?
Bottom of the page, Paul. The audit committee should continue to implement the remaining items, etc., etc.
Fine. Okay.
And I'm saying we're committed to doing that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. In that case, can I ask for a proposer and seconder for items 7 and 8? And we're all in agreement? Yes, thank you. Which leads us on to item 9, which is the internal audit final report. And Sarah, I'll pass that over to you.
Thank you. So this is our final report on the capital programme, which was part of the 2024-25 internal audit plan. So this is the finalised report that contains all the management responses to the recommendations that we raised as part of this audit. You can see from lots of page numbers, page 37 on the left of your pack gives you a summary of the overall audit, which was a limited audit opinion where we raised 6 medium priority recommendations. As I said, all responses have got a deadline date for implementation against them. So I haven't really got anything to say about the report other than that. Just happy to take any questions if you've got any.
Elias, did you want to make any comments on this report, please?
No, Chair. So I've been through with internal audit the report and Ashley, so we're happy to agree all the recommendations. Hopefully we'll get them all done by the deadline. Thank you. We have gone through the report already with internal audit. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Members, have we any questions? No further questions? Chris?
It was more an observation, Chair, just to say that these all recommendations all seem to be pretty process related rather than actually the outcomes or the or any suggestion of impropriety. So it's more about the way we do it rather than what we do. Yes.
Yes, so we obviously take the capital programme as per the policies and procedures of the council, and then we select a sample of those projects or programmes to actually confirm that those processes have been followed and all the documentation that should be in place is in place for those.
Yeah, Julie just wants to make a comment and then I'll take you, Richard, if that's okay.
Thank you, Chair. I think in discussion with Ashley, I think I was reassured that I think some of the samples that internal audit picked were actually quite low value capital schemes in the overall programme. So we've certainly got a lot more governance arrangements around the larger projects, which hopefully Sarah would acknowledge, and members are cited on the spend, etc., of all capital schemes in terms of the budget reporting that comes forward. So certainly from our perspective, we were reasonably reassured that the larger projects certainly have got a lot more governance around them, and that perhaps some of that needs replicating on some of the smaller schemes as well.
Yeah, thanks for that, Julie. If you hadn't mentioned it, I was going to as well. So thank you anyway. Richard.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a very quick question. Can we confirm that we've either already actioned or have decided on an action to address the 6 priority points?
That's right, yeah.
To ensure that sort of. Okay. Thank you.
Robin.
Thanks, Julie. That was kind of useful. I'm just, obviously it's never great having a limited opinion. How much of a surprise was that? Or is this kind of stuff that was being worked on anyway, and therefore it's a kind of moment in time?
Can I? Yeah. Shall I, Elias? I think not so much a surprise when you looked at some of the samples that will have been looked at. So some of them, for example, might have been a £15,000 budget line, which is not an insignificant sum, I appreciate, but it is all relative, and you need to, we need to be proportionate in how we're managing some of those schemes. So it might not necessarily be proportionate to have the same governance arrangements around a £15,000 budget as it would be for some of our larger capital schemes. So I think the surprise that the in the sense of the recommendations in relation to some of those budget lines, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm not sure I've answered your question. Sorry.
I think that makes sense. So I think, I think audit is a tool that should be used to kind of assess where we're at and improve practice. So it's some of it, because you're talking about large capital programs and maybe smaller capital projects. Is there something in the surprise that then may have emerged because of the terms of reference for this particular audit, because it looks at all capital rather than one type or the other? Sarah may have a view on this as well. I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
Ilias.
thanks, Chair. I think what's happened is we've got a process in place for the larger projects, like Julie just said. We've got project teams and project boards, and we've got quite detailed project initiation documents and flows that we have to abide by. Some of the smaller projects, what's actually happened is we have a sheet annually that all the budget holders should be filling in. Now, sometimes what happens is I'm aware of this. They've had discussions with me about it. And it's gone through, but that final process, which is important about making sure everything's signed off properly and by the relevant head of service, hasn't happened. But the head of service is aware, and that's where some of our processes, we just need to tidy up just to make sure that we're keeping a clear log of who signed what when, because of the nature of our council, it is quite small, so the finance get involved anyway. So we were aware. It's just that some of the processes, some of the admin processes sitting behind, we couldn't demonstrate to the auditors that we've been through that process. So they've picked up on certain points which are absolutely valid to make sure we just tighten up on some of our more admin processes between finance and the project officers, if that helps.
It does. Well, so you take that kind of better business cases model and the green book or whatever it is that you would go through for a large project, and kind of what you're saying is that the proportionality of that may be applied for a smaller project hasn't been applied maybe as robustly as it should be for smaller projects.
Fair enough,
okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Robin. Any further questions? Any further questions? Can I ask for a proposer and seconder then, please? And all in favour? Yeah. Okay, that just leads us to item 10, which is the Audit Committee Forward Plan. As I said earlier on, Robin wasn't here, unfortunately, because you were held up in traffic following the... No, there's no problem at all. What we're going to do, Robin, is we're going to convene a meeting after Christmas in January to consider this and to make additions and update it formally amongst ourselves, and also the submission, the report for council, and we're going to look at the fraud policy, which by then Grant Thornton should have some information for us so that we can consider that to put that into the action plan as well. The idea is to do it in one meeting rather than fragment it over a period of time. So instead of doing it at this meeting, we'll do it later on, kill it all off in one fell swoop. Okay, members, everybody happy with that? Fine. Items to be referred to council, there is none, of course, because we're going to deal with that later. Item 12, any other items of business? I've got no other items of business. So that wraps that up.
None for me, yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for attending. Chris, Sarah, our officers, members, safe journey home. At least it's not freezing like it was last night. Yes, of course. If they're still scraping the bits up off the A5. Anyway, thanks very much. Good night.